me do that again. There we go. Welcome to our house of worship, a house that serves as our community home, a house that finds its values to be as tangible as the walls, floors, and chairs within it, a house whose principles are the bedrock of its covenant, a house that finds love at its center. Welcome. Michelle will light the chalice here in the sanctuary, and those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing as big and loud as you like. Let the neighbors know about it too. Make it a joyous experience. So please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Let Love Continue Long, number 1029. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a wide variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and 6 values. Okay, and those values would be justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. I like that, good job. All right, today's service centers around the second principle. We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. My name is Randy Schwalbe, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. I extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. Do we have any today? All family today, okay. All right. If you're not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. And members and friends, please check out what's happening. The e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. And if you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, The recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everybody. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now sing the affirmation.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help, and to help, and to help one another.
We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand when Andy or I call on you. Come up to the podium or unmute yourself, then speak. Nancy.
Notes, so I get the date and time right for a change. So on Saturday, September 14th, we'll be showing the movie Origin here at 2:30, because it's like 2.5 hours long. It's the story of Isabel Wilkerson as she writes the book Caste, The Origin of Our Discontents. She explores the idea that race may not be the only determining factor in bigotry, since in countries like India, everyone may be of the same, quote, race, but bigotry still occurs by caste. So it's an award-winning film. It's free. There will be snacks. You could bring snacks, but, come on Saturday, September 14th.
Loris?
So I brought notes, but old school. Okay, so who better than, I just want to announce that Nancy has agreed to be our UUA liaison. So if you want to know anything about UUA, you'll get to, she's going, oh boy, yeah. And Robert agreed to be a UUSC liaison, okay? Isn't that great? And then Julia Stannert agreed to be our greeter for 2 Sundays a month, and Tom Harris, I don't think he's here today. He's online. Hi, Tom. Okay. Oh, up there. Okay. He agreed to be one time, so I need one more person to be a greeter, or maybe 2, because we have 5 Sundays sometimes. So if you want to get involved, it's a easy, quick job, then see me. Thank you.
Andy? Here.
Hi, Andy Fagan here. Men's group meets tomorrow here in the sanctuary and on Zoom at 10 a.m. We're going to focus on the topic of our relationship with labor, appropriately given that it's Labor Day, along with our normal check-ins. And thank you to Robert for joining me or taking over as your USC liaison. We'll be partnering in December with a guest at your table service, and then Robert will take over the reins completely after that. Thanks.
Good morning. I just want to make this announce again. On October 5th, I've spearheaded a Stop the Floating Offshore rally here at Vets Hall. We'll meet at noon on Saturday, October 5th, and then a short walk downtown and back for an awareness walk. And so that will happen on October 5th at noon. Parking will be at Vets. I've reserved the Vets parking for it. But you'll see the announcements also on Nextdoor and a couple of the other bulletin boards here in town. But I thought I'd just hit you guys up first. And unfortunately, I won't be able to answer questions afterwards because I'm probably going to get called out of here to rescue that sea lion that's on Moonstone Beach.
Okay. I'm just announcing that EcoSlow is hosting another Creeks to Coast cleanup on September 21st. It'll be 9 to 12. They've got a different procedure this year. Everybody signs up individually, so we don't sign up as a team. There's already a team leader assigned to our Moonstone Beach section. And I encourage everyone to sign up, please. So far, we only have 6 out of 30 volunteer spots filled, so we need some more volunteers. Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's something very special happening tonight. Andy? Yes, so the Follies. It's closing night tonight, so this is your last chance if you haven't seen it yet. It's been going really well. Audiences are loving it, and the cast is having a great time. And we love this format. It's terrific. So it's all sketch comedy. Anyway, tonight at 7 o'clock, tickets at the door, no problem to getting in. Okay. And with that, next week, Jan Massaro will present When Words Become Prayer. Okay, so we're going to take this time to celebrate all those who are having a birthday this month. You know, birthdays are special. A day when we celebrate your entry into this world and honor your existence. And if you have a birthday this month, please raise your hand. When Andy and I are calling you, please reveal your special date. So there's no birthdays here? Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, candle, right. Here we go. Birthday. Okay. I thought you were saying I was cuckoo or something. All right, so, okay.
It's not my birthday, but it's my husband Michael's, and he's kind of like an honorary member, so September 19th.
Right. Okay, and the 25th of September for Janet. Okay, that's it for birthdays. Oh wait, maybe there's one more. Just kidding, Julia. Julia.
Today is my birthday.
Yeah. I saved you for last. She's been trying all these years to be 65, and she finally did it. Congratulations. Anyway, great. All right, that's a great birthday month. All right, and this birthday candle, the one I finally got positioned correctly, honors all of our friends and family members who are also celebrating birthdays this month. Okay, Miss Vanna.
Yeah.
It says right here, turn the candle box. Okay. Yeah, but who? All right, joys and concerns is a time for sharing personal celebrations, sorrows, reflections, or gratitude. This is a time for community building. Please exercise brevity. Thank you. Okay, the collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. The first reading is an excerpt from The Wise Heart, a guide to the universal teachings of Buddhist psychology by Jack Kornfield. In a large temple north of Thailand's ancient capital, Sukhothai, there once stood an enormous and ancient clay Buddha. Though not the most handsome or refined work of Thai Buddhist art, it had been cared for over a period of 500 years and became revered for its sheer longevity. Violent storms, changes in government, and invading armies had come and gone, but the Buddha endured. At one point, however, the monks who tended the temple noticed that the statue had begun to crack and would soon be in need of repair and repainting. After a stretch of particularly hot, dry weather, one of the cracks became so wide that a curious monk took his flashlight and peered inside. What shone back at him was a flash of brilliant gold. Inside this plain old statue, the temple residents discovered one of the largest and most luminous gold images of Buddha ever created in Southeast Asia. Now uncovered, the golden Buddha draws throngs of devoted pilgrims from all over Thailand. The monks believed that this shining work of art had been covered in plaster and clay to protect it during times of conflict and unrest. In much the same way, Each of us has encountered threatening situations that lead us to cover our innate nobility. Just as the people of Sukhothai had forgotten about the golden Buddha, we too have forgotten our essential nature. Much of the time we operate from the protective layer. The primary aim of Buddhist psychology is to help us see beneath this armoring and bring out our original goodness, called our Buddha nature. This is the first principle of Buddhist psychology. See the inner nobility of beauty of all human beings. Let us join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence, and let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles, and in the silence, may there be a reverence in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness. Quiet your active mind, soothe your troubled heart, connect with your corporeal soul, ignite your dormant spirit, reach beyond your essence to find your inner peace. The second reading is an excerpt from The Relationship Cure, a 5-step guide to strengthening your marriage, family, and friendships by John Gottman. Although you may have fixed patterns of reacting emotionally to a particular kind of comment or situation, many scientists and therapists believe people can change their response, particularly if they can re-experience the same kind of stimulus under new and different circumstances. That's why the goal of so many forms of therapy is to help the patient revisit painful events from the past. Such therapy gives you the chance to re-experience your feelings in a safer or more neutral setting. You can use memory and imagination to visualize moments in your past when you felt hurt, angry, or devastatingly sad. You can actually feel the emotion you were feeling at the time. You can't necessarily erase the pain, at least not initially, but you may gain new insights. The way I was treated really hurt, but I am older now and I know it wasn't right. What they told me about myself was wrong. I don't have to believe everything they said. Such insights can help you feel differently about similar situations and relationships in the future. You don't have to keep reacting to new events and new interactions with the same automatic painful response. Understanding how yesterday's feelings color today's experience can make a difference in your ability to form strong, healthy bonds with others. You can gain new insights into the configuration of your own emotional life, as well as the emotional lives of others. This will make you more conscious of the filters of past experience through which you view your current existence. And when you are fully aware of your own filter, you will be able to read and interpret other people's bids for connection more accurately. You will be able to respond to bids based on who you are today. Please stand in body or spirit and sing Filled with Loving Kindness, number 1031.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Today's talk is titled Responding versus Reacting, to be delivered by Margaret Biggs. Margot's journey began in the Deep South, where her early years were spent exploring the natural beauty of North Florida. At 19, an exciting opportunity arose in the fashion industry, leading her to leave her southern roots for New York City. This opened doors for a world of travel and exposure to the rich art scenes of New York City, Europe, and Chicago. In Chicago, she embraced a new phase of personal growth, and she married, started a family, and in the mid-'80s discovered yoga and meditation practices she continues to this day. However, life took a sharp turn for Margot in 2009, causing her to return to her hometown with her youngest son. And despite the challenges, she found a silver lining by pursuing her lifelong dream, painting. Dedication paid off as she gained recognition, winning awards, and securing solo shows. And this is currently a work in progress, right? During this time, she also cared for her aging parents, a commitment that lasted over 6 years. This period was followed by a joyful chapter, her marriage to Jordan. Together, they decided to move to California, seeking a fresh start closer to their children. After a life marked by frequent relocations, Margot is now settled here in Cambria. Yay. She has passionately dedicated herself to her art career, drawing from her rich experiences and building a beautiful life here in Cambria. Margot.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Of late, I put a lot of thought in my habitual reactions to stimuli, ranging from negative self-talk to anxiety and even aggression. It's a tricky business and requires increasing levels of self-awareness. This all started months ago with a discussion concerning self-love. My theory is that the people pleaser that I am is an unconscious reaction to rejection. For me, this is a result of a lack of emotional support as a child, boatloads of criticism, and the reality of my feelings being dismissed. I was told I was too sensitive, that my views and opinions were wrong, And for a long period of time, I was told to just go get on an antidepressant. So I learned to constantly put my needs and feelings aside and do for others in an effort to prove I was worthy of love. It was habitual. People I'd held dear would give me evidence for prolonged periods of time that they wanted nothing to do with me, yet I refused to believe it. The constant contact would have been too difficult if I had admitted to myself that they didn't want me in their lives. I believed what I wanted to believe. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. It is much healthier to be aware and accept the fact that some people may not want anything to do with you. Responding to this reaction with respectful distance is much healthier than the reactive habit I had of exhausting myself in a futile attempt to win them over. I remember saying to myself again and again that surely they'd learn to appreciate me once they realized what good care I was taking of my parents. Mom and Dad were both quite ill, and I cared for them for 6.5 years. But to my dismay, they never did appreciate the care I gave, nor did they ever learn to value me. This healing business is quite a lengthy and challenging task, isn't it? In identifying our unhealthy habitual reactions, whether reaction is something we say or do to ourselves or to another, we have the opportunity to heal our internal wounds and create a new way of living in the world. It's important to remember to do so non-judgmentally. Our reactions and responses follow our internal state. Negative thoughts about ourselves will damage our self-worth, which then may lead to more defensiveness, self-righteousness, self-isolation, and even aggressiveness towards others. Self-righteousness was a big mistake I made, and it cost me dearly. You should do this. You should do that, I'd say. My internal state when I communicated with them was that of self-righteousness. As a result, the things I said had an air of superiority. I was critical and scolding. And of course, it made no difference. I've identified the habitual reaction of self-righteousness I had towards certain people, and I've forgiven myself for it too. Yet, self-righteousness is something I still need to work on. If only I'd spent more time considering what was going on in their lives, what grievances they may have had. We never know the entire story of where another person is coming from, do we? To effectively communicate, we must realize that we're all different in the way we perceive the world, and use the understanding as a guide to our communication with others. Tony Robbins. Instead of demanding, I wish I had used a softer approach. I wish I had paused and responded in a thoughtful, compassionate way, and considered them as well. If only I'd used more inclusive language. If only I'd considered their point of view. If only I'd reminded them of how little time we had. Instead, I reacted with self-righteousness. In this example, I've identified the habitual action of self-righteousness I have been known to have. I've thought about what the possibilities may be as to why they acted as they did, and I've developed compassion for them in the process. This inner work has helped me to heal. Lesson learned. I'm now much more aware of how damaging my reacting with self-righteousness can be. Now to break the habit. Another communication reaction I have is defensiveness. Certain things trigger me, and I habitually become defensive and sometimes verbally aggressive. What triggers you? Do you react defensively or aggressively at times? Or have you learned to pause with mindfulness and respond in an inclusive, constructive way? So, first I need to catch it when it arises, then I need to learn to do so before I respond to another person in a damaging way. I want to move beyond my habitual reactions, and I want to prove to myself that I can. This I accomplish by identifying the problem and being mindful, learning to become mindful in the moment when the habitual reaction occurs, and to practice responding with mindfulness and compassion. You have to remember, sometimes you don't identify the problem in the beginning until after you do it. So then you have to learn to do it, when you're doing it, and then before you're doing it, takes practice. After all, the more we practice, the better we get. And this becomes a positive feedback loop, because the better we get at communicating in a positive, inclusive way, the more other people will pick up on it. And consciously or not, they will start to communicate with us in a positive, inclusive way. And that in turn will reinforce the benefits of positive communication to ourselves. And the loop continues, spiraling upward, and it becomes a new way of living in the world. Just a little shift, and the person you're interacting with is less likely to interpret your words as selfish. Thus, they're less likely to respond adversarially, and they are much more likely to respond in a way that is for the greater good. They may want to try to do what's best for everyone involved. Then everyone is working in the same direction, which leads to a greater probability of success in whatever it is we hope to achieve. So lately also, I've been working on self-love. And I came up with a great idea for my difficult father-in-law. So when I practice, I look in the mirror, I talk to myself. So I said to myself, Margaret, you are such a thoughtful person. And what immediately followed in my mind, was self-criticism. I reacted to my self-affirming words with negative self-talk, immediately. It's a habitual reaction I have to praise. When someone I care for says something negative about themselves, I usually respond in a positive way. I'll point out an attribute they have, or I'll say something encouraging because I care about them. Yet at this point in time, I don't have the ability to do the same for myself. My husband's pointed out that almost every time he gives me a compliment, I downplay it in some way. Instead of responding with a simple thank you, I react. Though it may not be harmful to another person, I'm hurting myself. Great dinner you prepared, Margot, he might say. And my reaction is to respond in some way with how I could have made it better. Every single time he compliments me, I do this. Why, I'm getting better. I am getting better. Be it a compliment on a meal, a painting, on one of my artist newsletters, or on any other project. It doesn't matter. Instead of pausing and fully receiving the compliment, I immediately react with self-criticism. Bad habit, and totally contradictory to self-love. A key ingredient to healing, I believe, is learning to care for, nurture, and love ourselves like we do other people, just turn it inward. This quote I found by a Canadian poet and illustrator: "How you love yourself is how you teach others to love you." So this is another example of a negative reaction I have towards my own thought patterns. So this is internal. So I'm technologically challenged. Helping me with technology has become a great practice and patience for my sons, and lately Randy too. So the other day I was trying to figure out how to file and send documents with my phone. I was stuck. So I texted William. I said, "You got 5 minutes? I have a technological issue." Of course, it took a lot longer than 5 minutes. So why do I still have such a hard time with basic technology? Because I believe it's difficult. And I habitually react with anxiety every time I have something new to learn. I prefer to revert back to TVs with their simple remotes and limited capabilities, and the use of DVDs. I would really prefer that. So anxiety is my internal reaction to technology. My body tenses, my voice changes. My theory is that learning channels in my mind are then blocked. They contract. William knows this, my son, of course. So he started to help by helping me get off the anxiety default mode. And I did so pretty quickly. I responded in that time to the technological challenge by becoming mindful of the anxiety, and I consciously relaxed my body. And immediately, it just takes a moment. And immediately following this mental shift, I noticed a small button, one of only 3, at the bottom of my screen, and I clicked it, and then it was clear what to do. It was really easy. And so I saw how easy and self-explanatory it actually is. And wow, I thought to myself, I can do this. Once you realize that the road is the goal, and that you're always on the road, not to reach a goal, but to enjoy its beauty and its wisdom, life ceases to be a task and becomes natural and simple in itself, an ecstasy. Now to practice letting go of my anxiety default mode, I'll have to be vigilant, and before long, my use of technology will increase, and every new advance in technology will become easier for me to learn. Disassociation is another default mode I have. When I'm deeply hurting, I crawl up into my shell like a hermit crab. I may be physically present and I'll continue with my daily duties, but I'll be emotionally unavailable to those around me. I'll limit as much as possible the number of people I'm in contact with. I wish to be alone or invisible for long periods of time. And I'll go to great lengths to find a deserted beach, and I'll do my best to remain as far away from anyone that may come into my line of sight. 200 yards is too close. In the woods, literally, I hide. I'll go get off the trail and hide, literally. So I recognize this reaction to emotional pain is unhealthy, and my husband doesn't like it. So I'm doing what I can, yet it's a tough one. I know that some time alone to heal is valuable to my mental health, and I know there are others who feel the same. Yet this extreme reaction I have of disassociation is not. Wandering off on my own is something I've reverted to ever since I was a little girl. So one of the times I spent most of the previous few days curled up into my shell, I forced myself to go to a book club meeting. It was a small group and a fairly easy text. So I knew there was a good chance I could get through it without having to leave early. And as a result, I felt better. I crawled out of my shell and became emotionally available to my bewildered husband again. I did it. I'm getting to break that habitual reaction and learning to respond to pain in a better way. It can be as simple as attending a book club when all I really wanted to do was be alone. So always remember that a little bit of forward momentum towards healing really helps. It's my theory that all these changes come from a willingness to overcome our pain. Pain that is a product of things that happened in our past and the habitual reactions to similar things that happen in our present. Yet we must be willing to recognize what our habitual reactions are. What is my programming? How is it that I normally react to these things? Why is that reaction not healthy? And then to learn to pause long enough to realize the truth of that moment. Then asking yourself, what is the healthy, more wholesome, and loving way to respond? What response would be good for me and good for everyone in this moment? Personally, when I remember, I say a prayer. I ask God or Spirit or universal consciousness to give me strength and to guide my every word, to help me to respond to anger and aggressiveness, for example, in the most loving and wise way. And you know what? My prayer is answered every single time. And then I begin to believe in myself. I take a step beyond my old habits. I can thoughtfully respond. Then the practice becomes affirmation and the proof. We can respond in this new loving way and heal ourselves in the process. This then reinvigorates you because it helps you to believe in yourself even more. You think, oh, I have proof now, I just did it. That is how it becomes a self-fulfilling, reinforcing, positive feedback loop, which is a wonderful thing. And that's what the modeling is intended to do. As you inject positivity and good faith and belief and hope and consideration into all your interactions with others, including yourself, you're living proof to others to see that, oh, they can do it too. Don't ask the mind to confirm what is beyond the mind. Direct experience is the only valid confirmation. Sri Nisargadatta Mahara. So, to summarize, identify unhealthy patterns, the habitual reactions one may have, such as self-righteousness, disassociation, or defensiveness. And 2, step beyond habituated reactions through the practice of learning to respond in a more inclusive, compassionate manner. This then becomes a new way of living and responding to the world. I am proving myself I can do it. And then the acts of proof to myself become positive feedback loops. Others see it, are inspired by it, and then they begin to change their habitual reactions. They slowly begin to soften when they communicate. They learn to thoughtfully respond. Healing has taken place within them too, which gives me more proof, and it becomes a collective feedback loop. So we can learn to respond in a thoughtful way by communicating with compassion, avoiding reacting with anxiety or aggression, and no negative self-talk. I'll close this with a poem I wrote years ago titled My Greatest Teachers. Who would have thought my greatest teachers would be, oh dear, the frailty of my parents and the strength of my sons. The rejection of family and closed door of friends. The deception and lies of those I thought to be sincere, and the sharp criticism of of those that hold faults of their own. Through the rejection, I've learned acceptance. Through closed doors, I've opened mine. Lies of others have shown me how rare the truly honest are. Criticism has taught me the value of tolerance. Right and wrong, your way and mine. This creates division. Recognizing each other's differences, frailties and weaknesses, imperfections and faults, all the while keeping one's heart open and focusing on the beauty and strength that is there as well. This is love. This is love. So, thank you.
Okay, the morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all the gifts given and received for the work of our community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, number 1008.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every breed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its lights in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in. Please extinguish your chalices at home now. Okay. Let us now form a circle and join hands. Margot?
I'm sorry about that.
Got it.
It's another poem I wrote years ago. It's called A Shedding. It's a wondrous thing, the result of shedding the many layers of the ego, all the illusions of who we think we are, all the possessions of things that we think we need. An attempt to fill an inner void of which no thing, no label, no individual, no title can fill. And when one day we find the possessions, the labels, the friends, the titles have nothing to do with who we really are, it is then we have the opportunity to grow from who we have always been to the manifestation of all that we can be.
You're a very brave person.